Welp, John Cena found himself in a whole bunch of heat this week. First on the side of China overseas, and then on the side of the United States. What the fuck happened? Check out this clip.
So many prominent Americans who are speaking up on behalf of, they're so shy about offending China because they're afraid that their market share in China is going to go down. And yet more and more we are seeing celebrities who are coming out and just doing the bidding of the Chinese. So here is John Cena apologizing for calling Taiwan its own country.
你好，中国，这是叫西娜。
Speaking in Mandarin.
我必须说，现在，在速度与激情中，我做很多采访，很多。
Okay, the fact that John Cena came out and said he loves China and that he apologizes for suggesting that Taiwan is its own country is insane.
This makes John Cena look so bad. Like, what a fucking cuck. Completely beholden to Hollywood. All right? Completely beholden to his contracts. Completely beholden to his wallet. All of this boils down to money. That's all this has to do with, okay? Hollywood wants to play movies in China's market because China's got the biggest population in the world. They want to be able to sell movies to those people. In order to do so, they have to go through the approval of the communist Chinese government because that's how communist countries work. Everything goes through the government. Everything gets the government say-so. Right? I wouldn't be able to make this podcast without the government stamp of approval. So in order to sell movies to China, they have to make China happy people. Not the Chinese people themselves. The Chinese people themselves are much like the people of the United States, just normal, average, everyday, good people. But the Chinese government is ruthless as fuck. And if they don't like a fucking line that you said in a movie, they'll just not play it. And you're just missing out on half of the world, basically, of income. Over half of your income in a movie would come from China. So, of course, this zest for money that Hollywood has and the actors that are in these movies make themselves completely beholden to a completely different country with a completely different way of doing things. So because of this greed, the movie companies bend over backwards for the country of China. Some of them will take out entire scenes or rewrite scripts, shoot things completely differently, all in order to appease the Chinese government. It's not even an issue of offending Chinese people as far as like a racist comment or something like that. It's offending the Chinese government just because. In this case, Taiwan, which is its own fucking country. I mean, this should be apolitical here. This shouldn't be any kind of politically charged thing. It's a fact. They have their own government, their own leaders, their own elections. They have their own flag. They have their own everything. They are their own country. China doesn't like to think that. China likes to think that Taiwan's just a crazy cousin that acts a fool sometimes, but he's still family. That's just not the case. So China gets offended when John Cena says that Taiwan is the first country to get to see the new movie. Oh, Jesus Christ, we can't have that. It's going to be an international incident. Because Taiwan's not a country, they're China. So you should have said China's the first country that gets to see the movie. So this alone is enough to put the entire Fast and Furious movie in danger of not even being able to be seen in China, which is going to cut the money that the movie's going to make in half, just in that alone. So they send John Cena, who's been learning Mandarin since he worked for the WWE, for the same purpose, to get WWE in the door to China. And he kisses their ass. Not only does he apologize, but he licks their boots. It's the Kiss My Ass Club, but not for Vince McMahon, for China. And whoever the leader is over there, I don't even know. It doesn't matter. Some dictator fuck who doesn't even allow YouTube or Facebook or any of that shit over there. So John Cena makes a full cuck of himself, completely just neutering himself. No balls, no spine, going out there like a jellyfish, just fucking licking Chinese boots to get Fast and Furious 9 into theaters in China. I hope it was worth it. And in his apology, he didn't even make things right because all the Chinese people were still making comments on their side. Why couldn't he just say that Taiwan isn't its own country? He still didn't say those words. He didn't say those words because it's not a real thing. And Chinese people are brainwashed to believe this. You know, because they only get information that's approved by their fucking dictator. Okay, they have actual people that filter and scrub the internet for bullshit. And sometimes stuff makes it through, and they allow some stuff to make it through to make it look not so filtered. But then they flood it with propaganda and all this other stuff too. There's people that this is their entire job to do this. These are like United States call centers, customer service. This will just be another computer center where there's people working, filtering, scrubbing the internet of all these dirty lies. So the Chinese people don't even know the true history of Taiwan. Unless they get on like a VPN and they do their own digging and stuff like that. But everything's so twisted and backwards. Taiwan's its own country. I'll argue that all day. So come at me, bro. So John Cena fucked up. And then, of course, the United States side of things looks at him the same way that I'm looking at him now. What a fucking cuck. What a douchebag. What a piece of shit. Why you're blatantly selling yourself out for a communist dictator leadership. And what's the old thing? Give an inch, take a mile? So you think we're going to send our actors out there now to lick the boots of the Chinese government anytime they say something slightly wrong? You don't think the Chinese government's going to dangle that bait over the United States even more? Oh, we won't let you sell that here if you don't do this. This is a very slippery slope. But now we're starting to get a little bit political, and that's not the idea of this whole thing. I never want to be political, and this can be seen as a political issue, but quite frankly, we have a country that exists on its own, not even a tie to China. Like Hong Kong, a lot of people think is a country on their own, and you could debate that, but in reality, they are owned by China. Their leaders are approved by China. So China picks a handful of people and says, these people are the people you can vote from. We've approved of them. And China just keeps taking more and taking more and taking more from Hong Kong. Big, long story. But Taiwan is not the same thing. Taiwan is their own country, completely separate from China. And they will slap you in the fucking face if you tell them any different. But can't tell the Chinese people any different because they don't know any different. They've been taught all their lives that Taiwan's just acting a fool, but they're really with us, you know. And John Cena just looks like a puppet ass bitch. And unfortunately, this is the route that Hollywood's going in general. Industry in general. All the big corporate and multinational corporations and shit that run this country, quite frankly, all want the business of China. Which is why shit's just hitting the fan. And this is just one example of that. And John Cena is a casualty of this. You know what? Whatever. I'm not... yes, I've lost a shit ton of respect for John Cena over this. Absolutely. He looks like an absolute spineless Hollywood puppet. But, hey, you know what? He's trying to make a career and trying to do his thing out in Hollywood. And if he didn't do this, that would pretty much be the end of his career. I mean, at least he has appeased Hollywood and will continue to be in movies and make lots and lots of money for himself. But not without a shit ton of controversy blowing up social media, blowing up the YouTube, blowing up the news feeds this week. And anytime a John Cena pops up in the news, it's worth covering, you know? So... anyway, I'll leave it there, but absolutely interested in your thoughts. Leave them in the comments if you're watching on YouTube. Otherwise, just, I don't know, send them telepathically or something. We'll figure it out. Hey, thanks for checking out that clip. Don't forget to check out other clips here on the channel. And while you're there, throw a like, throw a subscribe. And don't forget to check out full episodes each and every Sunday of the Pro Wrestling Podcast.